starting off with little grebes, and these are basically all birds in kind of non-breeding winter plumage. And the idea really is to try and just point out some key pointers on ID. If I miss anything, Steve, can you kind of like slap me or fill me in or do something? So this is a pair of, or I don't presume it's a pair, but a couple of little grebes in their non-breeding plumage. So they're kind of, I mean, everyone knows little grebes are like a little dainty, cute looking bird, little fluffy puffball. Obviously the name Dab Chick just, you know, all sounds really lovely and cute. But they're mainly brown. They're kind of a browny coloration, darker brown on the back. They have a brown coloured cap, and they have this little short stubby bill and a dark eye. And the back of the bird, as you can see, they've got a nice white tail end. And these two were happy to show me their tail end as they swam away very quickly while I was taking their pictures. But they just, you know, they're really cute little birds, and they have a habit, you normally see them on a river in the distance, little tiny round looking bird, and they'll just kind of blob into the water. They just disappear. They drop in, don't they? So that's little grebe. Now, the next small grebe you've got is Slavonian Green. Now, Slavonian Grebe, they breed up in the northernmost parts of Scotland and northern Europe, and I think into Siberia as well. So you mainly see them in this area in the winter. And this is a very black and white looking bird. So bigger, a little bit bigger than a little grebe. And it's kind of a stocky looking bird. And you've got the sort of whitish flanks, a very clear divide between the pale white neck and the black rear. The cheeks of the bird come right the way around to the back of the neck, and they almost meet, to be fair. You've got a fairly flat crown, red eye. There's this sort of pinkish strip between the bill and the eye, and the bill is again a fairly sort of short stubby bill with a pale tip normally as well. So really smart looking birds. This is the one that was at Hanningfield before Christmas, and again kind of a similar shape to a little grebe, but a little bit bigger, like I said, a little bit stockier, and just the coloration is totally different. And when you see them from distance, they're very much black and white. We've got black-necked grebe as the next species. So this is the one that's most similar to Slav. This photo was kindly given to us by Paul Everett. And you can see it's got the black and white coloration of the Slav, but it's a lot more dusky. There's not that clear divide. The cap of the black-necked grebe it comes below the eye. So you have this sort of black cheek patch normally. And the bill is slightly upturned as well. So with its peaked crown too. So you've got a real peaky head, the cheek patch, the upturned bill, and just a slightly more dusky appearance compared to the Slav, not quite so black and white looking. And these are a couple of birds that, Steve, you took this picture, didn't you? Where was this one?
Hold on, I haven't got to that yet. It must be. Oh, there you go. Delay there or something. Yeah, these were taken on the River Blackwater.
Okay.
Years back.
And again, from here, you can clearly see that it's the shape of the head and the bill, really, more than anything. Even if you can't see the markings, it's got this big sort of peaked head, upturned bill, red eye, dusky looking bird, but still black and whitish. And I think they're brilliant. They've got a lovely attitude, haven't they? They're great birds.
Yeah, they're cracking birds. Yeah, absolutely cracker.
And they do breed. They breed in sort of into Scotland and maybe other localized parts of the country, and kind of across the middle band of Europe as well. And that's just a picture showing you all three together. So you've got the little grebe at the top, yeah, Slav down the bottom left, and the black-necked and on the right-hand side there. And you can see they do all look different, particularly the little grebe, of course. But the Slav and the black-necked, they do look different birds. And if you get a good view, they're quite easy to pick out normally. In flight, we've got some flight shots here of Slav. So again, obviously black and white. You can see the very flat cap between the bill and behind the eye here, and the Slav has got a white patch on the rear of the wing that's not massively huge, and you can just about see on the top of the right wing here on the shoulder there's a white patch as well. So in flight you've got the white rear with a little white patch on the shoulder too, and obviously smallish black and white looking birds. Another picture again, these are Steve's pictures, showing Slav from a slightly different angle, but again it's that clear cut black and white on the head. And this one, I must confess, when I first saw this picture when you sent it through, I thought it might actually be a black-necked grebe, and then looking more closely you can see that even though this is molting into breeding plumage, you can still see that the cap has got that line between the bill and the eye, and doesn't come down really over the cheek as in the black-necked grebe. And you can clearly see on here that you've got the white on the shoulder of the wing and the slightly smaller rear white patch on the wing. If you compare it to black-necked grebe, and this is a picture of a bird taken at Hanningfield by Colin Shields, so still black and white looking, but dusky, upturned bill, and more white on the wing, and it doesn't have that white shoulder patch. So you can see the white on the wing extends into the primaries here, no white shoulder patch, so just looks a bit different in flight. But obviously in flight isn't always easy, so hopefully you'll get to see them on the deck. Moving on, we've got two more species. We've got the red-necked grebe, and this is the winter bird that was at Abberton for a while before Christmas. And the main features of this bird is it's quite a sort of stocky looking bird. It's almost the size of great crested grebe, not far off at all, but it's shorter necked, thicker necked. It's got a different head shape, doesn't have the sort of cresting on that the great crested grebe does. It has a grey dusky cheek, and it's got this yellow, really sort of strong, almost dagger-like bill. So really, really smart bird. Same bird here, just from a different angle. Again, you can clearly see this duskiness on the cheek. The dark eye is kind of enclosed by darker plumage, and clearly yellow bill, of course. And if you compare to the great crested grebe in winter plumage, the bill is slightly different shape, a bit longer, obviously pink in colour. The eye is a real clear giveaway because it's a red eye and it's surrounded by paler white plumage, so the eye really stands out. The cap is above the eye, and of course you've got the you know, the remnants of the breeding plumage crest on here, so you can still see that sort of angled back to the head there. And then this is one of this year's birds in winter plumage, so you can still see it's got a little bit of the old humbug striping left, as well as all the other features. A very pale white front of the neck on the great crested grebe as well. So from a distance, they always look long-necked, very slim, very graceful, and with that really sort of long pale front, they do stand out even from a distance through bins, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
This was a shot just taken at Abberton earlier in the year of actually breeding plumage birds, but just to show you the size relation. So you can see the red-necked grebe isn't far off the great crested grebe in terms of size, and like that, they don't actually look that dissimilar. You know, you could easily scan through a flock of great crested grebe and miss that if you weren't careful. And finally, a side-by-side shot of the two, just showing that slim, you know, slimmer and more graceful profile. And you've got a couple of flight shots: the red-necked grebe, dusky neck, small white patch on the rear of the wing, and the great crested grebe, although it's a young bird, it's still got the diagnostic wing markings with the large white patch on the rear and the white patch going right the way through the wing to the front. And that's it.
We've got three species that we will say regularly see in Essex. So we're going to kick off with, let me just quickly do that. Yeah. So yeah, we're going to kick off with the smallest of the three divers. So this is red-throated diver. And as Matt has just done, these are all in winter plumage. So this is a sort of fair-sized diver. It's smaller than a cormorant, bigger than a great crested grebe. But they tend to be long, thin bill. They've always got this sort of snooty, like they're holding their nose up, like they're better than all the rest of the divers. Spangled, nice sort of spangled plumage on the back, compared with all the other divers, and pretty much quite a diffuse, dusky, sort of the grey comes into the white, and then round the eye we've got this lovely white sort of eye patch and quite a pale bill. And here's just another shot. This one's by Matt. I think it was up at Holland Haven again. But yeah, you can see this sort of upturned bill, so dark eye, greyish neck, and then I say this lovely spangled. It's almost slightly, yeah, like it's been splattered in with white. But and this tends to be common sort of off the northeast coast. The Thames is a pretty good place. In fact, I think also there's been one at Abberton this winter, so well worth keeping an eye out for those. Then we move on to our next species, which actually is probably the scarcest species in Essex. This is black-throated diver. This is one of Matt's shots, so thanks for that, Matt. So this is, again, slightly chunkier, very black and white. It's got this we said about the diffuse neck on red-throated diver. Well, this is almost like grey and white. There's almost a clear cut markings between the two colours there. Slightly chunkier bill. It's just a slightly heavier looking bird. But one of the most diagnostic features is this white, what they call the white wheel arch at the back of the bird. So that's pretty, well, diagnostic for black-throated diver. And also on the back, it's much darker. There's not that spangling like you get on red-throated diver or great northern diver, which we'll come to in a moment. And again, Matt, if I miss anything here, jump on in. But yeah, and also we said about the white round the eye of red-throated diver. This is dark round the eye, so it hasn't got this white patch. I don't know if you can see very well there. I'll just zoom in a little bit there and come down. And again, this lovely black, sort of black white markings. So they say this is the scarcest diver that we get in Essex. I mean, one day we might have better add white-billed diver to this IP guide, but
nice.
yeah, not yet. I think it was Simon Wood's next record. You know, it was the next species we were going to get on the Essex list was white-billed diver. So yeah, you never know, might happen. And then this is the largest of the three divers that we get regularly in the winter. This is great northern diver. It's a big bird. It's just, you know, the size of a small goose, brent goose sort of size. Got this whopping great dagger of a bill. And look at the head. It's got this lovely, like, a lump on its forehead, like it's just walked into a brick wall. And it's got a little bit of scalloping on the back. The young birds tend to have scalloping on the back, whereas the adults in the winter plumage tend to be quite sort of plainish, sort of grey brown. And if you can just about see here, it's got this like white little notch on the neck there, again, which is sort of pretty much diagnostic for great northern diver. And these, you know, can be found all around the Essex coast, especially off Mersey, Tollesbury, Malden, the Blackwater, and that sort of area. And it's just another shot. This is one that I took from a boat a few years ago. Again, showing that lovely sort of lump on the forehead, and I say big sort of dagger-like bill. And again, you can see the notch coming through here on the neck. So that pretty much covers our three divers tonight.